Hello everyone and welcome to my coloring corner. Today is Tips and Tricks Tuesday. And the reason why we're having a Tips and Tricks Tuesday is because I am doing a Uni Mitsubishi coloring challenge using postcards. And this was one of the postcards that I was working with. And I want to show you the importance of choosing the right paper or choosing the right pencils for the paper that you're working on. This card is a very thick cardstock and it's extremely smooth. So I'm going to show you how the Mitsubishis um, react to this paper, and then we're going to show you how to correct when the Mitsubishis don't work with this paper, because they don't. The Mitsubishi colored pencils are a wonderful colored pencil. However, they don't like smooth surfaces. They do need some tooth, and I'm going to show you why. So I'm going to switch you over to the close-up camera, and we're going to work on this tree here. And we're going to start with some pinks, because this tree here I want to have the pink flowers. So as you can see, it's a blank surface. Let's make sure that there's nothing on it. And when you lay down a color, the first color lays down okay. It's really light, but it does lay down. So that is an actual carmine red. So you would expect it to be a little bit brighter than that. Now we're adding the coral red on top of that. And as you can probably see, where I've put down the carmine red, the coral red is darkening it a little bit, but it's not layering all that wonderfully. Now we're going to continue to layer this color on top of it so that we can get a proper coloring layer to show you the reason why I feel that the paper does not do well with these pencils. I have used these pencils on other paper. This is the first time I've used them on this cardstock. This cardstock is the cardstock that comes with the postcard book for the postcard. So this is not a cardstock I chose. It is definitely one that is in the card book. Now we're just going to blend it in a little with the lighter color. And I'm going to hold this up to the camera here so that you can see the reason why I feel that it's not working the best. I feel that the pencils are actually fighting against the paper and not blending together. So I'm just going to zoom this in. Hold on 1 second. It might be zoomed in as far as it'll go, but I'm going to try to zoom it in any further. No, okay. So that's as far as it'll zoom in. So I'm going to actually move this up to the camera so that you can see the buildup. So if you can see it, there is a layer buildup where instead of blending together, the colors are laying right on top of each other. As we build that color up with this type of pencil on this paper, it starts to peel off. And I'll show you an example of that over here on her dress. You can see the peel. Same with on his cape there. You can see that peel. And that's something that is because the paper and the pencils don't match together. Now I did correct this side of her dress using the Colleen colored pencils, and I'll show you how I corrected them. So on this side of her dress we have the colors that aren't blending together very nicely. And I'm going to take number 711, which is a nice pink, And I'm just going to color right over top of the color that is already there. And as you can see, I can easily blend this new pencil right into the Uni Mitsubishi. It is going to lift up some of the color that's already down there because of the wax content in the Unis compared to the wax content in the Colleens. The Colleens are a bit of a harder pencil, so they seem to react a lot better to this smoother surface. I'm not exactly positive on why that is, but I do find that sometimes on a smoother surface, a harder pencil does work a little bit better. I will show you that I can correct this as well as build deeper color with the Colleens than I was able to with the Uni Mitsubishis. And it has nothing to do with the fact that the Unis are a horrible pencil or anything like that. The Unis are a fantastic pencil. However, you do have to choose the paper, and that's the reason for this video, is to show you that sometimes you choose wrong. Sometimes you choose the wrong pencils for the paper that you're using. Now, being able to choose the right pencils to correct it is a lot easier than you think. Basically, what I would suggest doing if you do choose the wrong pencils for the paper is just grab a couple of one or two of the same colors, the same kind of colors that you're using from another set. Make sure that they don't feel the same. So if you have a really soft pencil and it's not coloring well on a paper that you're using, go to a harder pencil. Make sure that it's not the same consistency as the original pencil, and choose one or two colors that are the same tones, the same kind of color, and in a small area that that you can work on without having it do too much to the picture. Give it a try and work with the pencil and see if that pencil works any better. If that pencil doesn't work any better, go to a different pencil, and so forth until you find the pencil that works better for you. Just make sure that you're not going back to the um, same consistency, the same type of pencil. So if I was using an extremely soft pencil on this picture and it did the same thing, I would definitely go to a harder pencil. Because I was using a synthetic wax pencil, I definitely wouldn't go to a synthetic wax pencil to correct it because the synthetic wax didn't work well with it. Now we're going to add to this as well. And like I said, you can definitely grab the contrasting colors or a different color or the same colors and work together with them. I did already correct these dresses the best I could. Turn this light on, maybe it'll help. Nope. Nope, that just makes it worse. And, I did find that the Colleens did work quite nicely on correcting the issues. Now let's see if it'll work with moving the color out and blending into the color that I've already put down. So I'm going right onto the white area here. I'm using the lightest pink that I have in it in my usage area right now. And we're going straight on to the white area. And we're getting a good build of that starting color. It's not peeling up, it's not pilling. So what I was finding with the Mitsubishis is that once you got one layer down, one layer would go down very, very nicely. As soon as you started adding another layer to it, it started to battle each other, have conflict basically, and pill up. What I mean by pill up is I started seeing layers of wax peeling up with the next pencil. And we don't want that, obviously. Obviously, that's something that we don't really want to have happen. So if you find that that is happening, it's because the paper is not accepting the amount of wax that is in the pencil. Now, because these Colleens have less wax in them than the Mitsubishis, I'm getting a better layer of color. Now I'm going to grab this one here as well as a peachy tone, because one of the tones that I have here is actually a cinnamon tone. So I'm just going to blend into that, and we're going to work these colors together to get a cohesive blend, showing that we didn't go from one pencil to one colored pencil grouping to another, like so. Now I'm going to take the lighter pink and I'm just going to blend it all together. Another thing that you need to figure out when using a different paper is what ability does that paper have to build color on. Now this is definitely a smooth paper, so I would suggest that you do your base layer and then you very lightly add to that. Do not try to do heavy layers of a color because you will end up using up what little tooth the paper has very quickly, where you are not going to be able to build another color on top of it. And that could become a problem, especially with any type of colored pencil. All pencils have a bit of wax in them and you will end up with a buildup, whether it's an oil base or a synthetic wax base or a natural wax base. So I'm just going to go over this with the lighter pink, and then we're going to start adding some contrast. Like so. So I could definitely work with each set of pencils together, putting down a base of one and then working on top of that base. However, if you're working with an expensive set of pencils, sometimes working with that base causes a little more anxiety, I guess is the word, because you're basically laying down a layer of pencil and using up a pencil that isn't really necessary to be used just to build the color. So I'm laying down the peach tone, and I'm not putting it everywhere, I'm just putting it close to the edges of the openings in the branches. Mr. Choo Choo says hello. Uh, just putting it in the branch areas and, of course, in the edges where the light is going to hit the tree, like so. And we're going to build off of this peach tone into our darker tones and get those shadows and dark colors into the foliage of the tree. So now we're going to take our number 117 and we're just going to work off of the peachy tone, joining into it, gently going over top of it, not to take it over, but to combine the colors. And again, as you can see, I'm barely touching the page, using a very, very light hand. To build that color up. So. And once we get this color down, then we'll be adding another color as well for our darker shadow colors. And blending that darker shadow color in to the rest of the colors to ensure that it looks like it's got different levels and areas to the tree, not just some weird pink tree standing in the forest. So this is going to reflect the cherry type blossoms. I will probably go through and add some greens and that sort of thing as well. But for now, I just wanted to show you the difference between the two different sets of pencils on the same type of paper. And that sometimes choosing the pencils for the paper is very important. But another thing that is very important is being able to look at the problem that you're receiving and how to fix it, how to correct it. If you are having a large amount of wax buildup really quickly to a point where it looks like it's starting to peel up, you have an issue with not enough tooth on the paper. If your paper is really, really toothy and you're still having that issue, that is an issue with pressure. You're pressing too hard and taking out the tooth of the paper too quickly. If you are pressing too hard, just lighten your hand and continue to work with the paper. If you're not pressing really hard and you're only getting one or two layers of color down and then ending up with a waxy peel off, because it will peel off. It's not just going to sit there. It's going to peel off and look like a wax crayon before it's blended. You know, you can blend wax crayons quite smooth, but when you first use them, they do have a tendency to look very waxy and very clumpy. And that's what it will resemble if you're using too much of a wax percentage on a very, very smooth paper. Most smooth papers are best suited to an oil-based harder pencil or a marker, because markers do really well on smooth paper. They move really, really nicely. And definitely a lighter hand so that you don't completely take out the tooth with your first 2 or 3 layers, and you can build that color up to a depth that you want it to be, and then you can burnish it and blend it. Now, because I want to put some other greens and other colors in here, I'm definitely not going to press too hard or burnish this with the lightest color. I'll continue to work with the colors to create that build up. And like I said, it all depends on the type of paper. And this little tiny video is just there to show you that, yeah, sometimes I choose the wrong pencils for the wrong paper, or I choose the wrong paper for the pencils. You know, I was doing a specific thing with the Uni Mitsubishi pencils, and I know how they work. I saw that the paper was fairly smooth, and I was hoping that it would be able to be used. Unfortunately, it did not prove to be something that would be able to be used, so I had to correct the mistake. And I wanted to show you that, you know, even though you have made a mistake, it is easily and can be easily corrected. So for example, here in his jacket here, there is a lot of wax buildup there. So we're going to take the red from the Colleen's, and we're just going to go over it. Some of that wax is going to get picked up. Some of it's going to scratch off, but then you're going to be able to add the color to it and brighten that color up a little. Having a limited amount of pencils here, I tried to combine multiple colors such as red and black to get that shadowed area. And typically that would have worked. However, on this paper they did not blend well and did not work for what I was trying to do. So this postcard, even though I did start it with the intent to complete it for the Uni Mitsubishis, unfortunately these cards will not be able to be used in that challenge because of the fact that the Unis just don't deal well with the paper. And I'm not going to fight with them. There is no point fighting with your pencils to ensure that you get something colored. That is completely opposite of what we want to do with our pencils. Of the reason for the pencils, you know, the reason for coloring is to relax, not fight with the paper or the pencils to create something that we're frustrated with. So the best way to avoid that, of course, is to choose a set of pencils either to correct, you know, the wrong choice, or to, you know, choose the pencils to begin with. I chose wrong. I did find that, you know, I did do an experiment. I think it was on this one down here, which was the furthest point from the main part of the picture, to see if I could correct the problem. And I was able to correct the problem. If I was not able to correct the problem with the Colleen's, I would have pulled out another set of pencils that would have been harder or more oil-based. But these ones worked quite well, and I'm really happy with the way it's looking. So with that, I just want to say thank you all very much for watching. Paper is important. Not only are your pencils important, your markers important, that sort of thing, but what's more important is your drive to color and to enjoy art and to create and relax, but B, not having to fight with your pencils on the paper. So if you find that your pencils are not laying down well on your paper and it's a fight to work with them, choose a different set of pencils and do a small test area to ensure that the pencils that you're choosing are going to correct the problem and actually color well on that paper. If, like this one here, is very, very smooth, it has a little bit of texture in it, so there's enough to work with pencils on it. However, if I was to do this again, I would probably choose a water-based medium or a alcohol-based medium. However, with it being a postcard, I didn't want to use a alcohol-based medium on it. So, with it having a little bit of tooth, I think a water-based medium would work really well. All right, guys, with that, I would like to say thank you all very much for watching. I hope this was at least helpful. And I did want to show you that sometimes I too do choose things incorrectly, but it's having the knowledge or understanding of how to correct that mistake. And basically, with this type of mistake, unless you have done too many layers, very, very heavy-handed, you can find that sometimes it's a little bit easier to erase what you've got and restart with a different set of pencils. All right, so lesson of the day. Paper, paper, paper. Choose your pencils for your paper. If you do use one specific type of paper and it works really, really well, and it works well with all the pencils that you have in your set, fantastic. But if you have like our coloring and coloring books, and you have a really expensive artist grade book compared to a inexpensive Amazon book, those are both going to use a different type of pencil, whether it be something that has more of a wax base and is softer and smushier and you can blend more, or whether it's something a little bit harder where you can get further into the details and layer more. Of course, both of these can be used together in some books as well. So it's figuring out what is best to be used with the paper that you have. Again, like I said, you can definitely choose a specific type of paper and copy onto your computer and print them off. And be sure that the paper that you're using works for the way you color and what you color, because it's paper you've used before. However, every book has a different texture, a different paper, whether it's got a black backing to the page, whether it's Amazon paper, whether it's Dover publication paper, whether it's smooth cardstock. Any different type of book is going to have a different type of paper. So always choose your pencil. The best way to do this is most books will have a test page either in the back or the front of their books, whether it's their this book belongs to page or it's a listed test page in the back of the book. Test your pencils out. Test the different ways that you blend and color before you start your picture so that you can definitely tell which pencils are going to be best suited for your coloring. Do your research and never fight your paper. because that just makes the entire experience unpleasant. And we want coloring to be relaxing and enjoyable, and having to fight with things is not fun. And I did not do that with this page, so of course this is definitely a learning experience for myself as well as everyone else. All right, guys. Well, thank you all very much for watching. Of course, remember to relax, color, and stay safe, everyone. Until next time, bye-bye for now.